introducing Schoology to our parent community. My name is Matt Kelsey. I'm the new Director of Technology, and we're very lucky today to be joined by our middle school principal, Mike McMillan, and our high school principal, Christine Stamp-Jarabek, and our middle school tech integrator, Mrs. Heather Roy, and our high school tech integrator, Mr. Anthony Copeland. Today, we're going to spend about 15 minutes just walking through very quickly kind of the history behind why we chose Schoology, because it's a new system for us starting this month. Then we're going to just demonstrate to you some of the parent features, and then we'll have 20 or 30 minutes for you to poke around. We've got a checklist for you to run through to make sure you're able to access all the features that are relevant to parents. Sound good? Okay, great. So we always start by looking at our mission and core values. And when I think about where Schoology lies in our pantheon of ASD systems, out of our core values of compassion, excellence, integrity, respect, and responsibility, I really see Schoology as enabling students to take greater responsibility for their learning, because it makes it very clear where the course materials are, what the assignment expectations are, and for parents as well, it gives you that transparency so that you can support your students in being responsible. And our student profile of students being empathetic, self-aware, resilient, innovative, good communicators, and global citizens. It's helping students, again, with that self-awareness piece because they're able to see what they've turned in, what they haven't, and, again, making the expectations of the class clear. So a little bit of background about our change to Schoology. Originally, we were using a system called Power School Learning. And about a year and a half, 2 years ago, they published this notice saying that Power School Learning is going to go away, and you're going to need to select a new system. And so that kicked off a process where we needed to kind of evaluate where do we go from here, since our tool of choice for a learning management system is going to go away.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. So I think at this point, it became an opportunity, obviously, for ASD to select what tool would we possibly use that would meet all of our needs. And one thing I think that stood out, and for me as well as I've learned about this, is that idea of parent access. If you remember Google Classroom, some of you maybe signed up for some of the weekly or daily reminders of Google Classroom. And I can tell you as a principal and as a parent, I didn't love those because they didn't give you much of what you wanted. You kind of saw things after the fact and and you couldn't decipher between, well, what was an assignment and what was just a daily learning objective type thing. So I understand that Schoology, and my experience with it so far, is that this provides us with a lot better access inside. Okay, so you're going to be able to get inside and see what is actually happening and be able to decipher between those things that Google Classroom didn't allow you to do. We really like the way it supports our students in their ability to wayfind, right? To find what is due, what's an assignment, where is it. And just this past week, I was in a team meeting. Our teachers are starting to learn all about this. Teachers are able to see actually what all of their learners have going on in the next couple of weeks. So really great tool. So if you're my class and I say, hey guys, we're going to have an assessment due on Friday, and everybody's, oh, Friday, I can quickly look at my class and say, oh, you do all have 2 or 3 things due on Friday. We're not going to do that. Okay, so really good features that allow teachers to see across the whole system. There's some more to come in terms of standard-based grading, blogs, portfolios. As any rollout happens, we don't want to roll everything out at one time. It's overwhelming for parents, for students, for teachers. So there's some capabilities we're going to get to still. And of course, at the root of this whole thing, the impetus for the change, this does dovetail nicely with Power School. So it's a system that's going to work well with us. Okay?
And just a little bit about our roadmap, how we got here and, where we are here in September right now. When we started the research, we looked at different LMS systems that we might adopt, and Schoology was one of them, and we also looked at
Canvas, D2L.
Yes, D2L. So these are sort of the typical types of LMSs that you would see at schools or at universities, and so we examined the merits and the benefits and the drawbacks to all of these different types of systems. We put it out for feedback to teachers, to technology experts, and to our learning leadership team here at ASD. And Schoology was the one that came forward as the most beneficial to our needs here at ASD. And as Mike was just talking about, it also dovetails with Power School. So as we're looking towards the future, being able to have these two pieces of technology to connect, it just makes things so much easier. And so that was an important piece. And so this was adopted as, yes, we think Schoology, we're going to move forward with rolling out this process. And so one key piece to that is the teacher training. We need to make sure that they have the initial onboarding around the ways in which they need to connect and how they're able to transfer some of the content that they currently house in different parts of their drives and of their digital world. And so that process was very directed in terms of these are the skills that you'll need to learn, but it was also very responsive to some of the questions like, well, I do this with Google Classroom, how am I going to do this now in Schoology? And so that process started at the end of last year with teachers doing some independent viewing of some of the videos that were created for them, and then also some sessions were created for them for Q&A, and then for our new teachers that happened at the beginning of the year, and we're continuing to make sure that the training is available, and we're also continuing to respond to some of the questions that teachers have. Students were, of course, introduced at the start of the year. In high school, they had time in their advisories where it was rolled out to them kind of uniformly as this is Schoology and this is what it can do and this is what we need you to know in order to be successful. And again, as we're working through, we notice that there are some bumps and we notice that there are some confusions, and we're working out some of those confusions as they arise, really with the goal of having a better functionality in Google Classroom, because Google Classroom is just one piece of Schoology. It does have some functionality that maybe Schoology doesn't have in terms of some of the ways that it presents the content, but Schoology is a much bigger and robust learning management system, and Google Classroom is just a piece of a learning management system. It's not a complete system. And so we want to make sure that our technology talks to each other, and also that we're able to respect and keep student data private, and that's another piece that Schoology will continue to allow us to do in terms of the data protection being a very important piece of our process here. And then, I suppose what we're doing now is the parent introduction, and we want to make sure that you feel comfortable and that you know how to get support if you need support. And so that's kind of purpose of having this Talk Tuesday. And we also want to be available for you after this, should you have any questions. And one other great piece about this whole roadmap is that we also then were able to bring in another integrator into our team. So we now have a dedicated person in high school as well as a dedicated person in middle school. So that means that we just have more support. Thank you.
Okay, so as parents, what does this look like? When you log into Schoology for our hands-on demo in just a moment, what can you see? What can't you see? So you will be able to view all of the classroom resources in any of your child's courses. Any announcements that the teacher makes, any updates, they will be visible to you as parents as well. On the right-hand side, you'll see in just a moment, there's a really convenient list of any upcoming work that's about to be due. If that deadline is missed by your child, it will then populate an overdue work list. So something really, really useful for those conversations. Hey, I've noticed that this has now moved to overdue. Can I support you in any way to try and get that done? There will be information about Schoology assignments, but if I just point over to what you can't view, you won't view the actual assignments being submitted. So you need to access them during that conversation with your child. You won't see Google Assignments. There's not a whole lot that we can do about that because it's a different platform. So that exists over at the Google Assignments side. You won't see classroom discussions, so you won't see other students' responses, other students' questions. You're kind of shut out of those discussions. Another thing you won't see is grades. We've got grades switched off entirely in Schoology. We're still using PowerSchool as our grade database. And also posting or comments by other students in any way. So there's absolutely no view of other students' work. Okay. And then finally, just on the left of what you can view, there is a calendar view as well. So not just that upcoming assignments list, but you can switch over to the calendar view, and that will show you what's coming up. So in my view, you can see just enough to have those productive conversations with your child. And if we jump to the next.
So speaking of productive conversations, I'm the cautionary tale here. Because I'm also a dad too, right? So I know I can see sometimes access and have access to information. That can be great, and it also can go a little far with your child. So I think this is a great tool that you can use to check in and have a sense of what's going on, and in my opinion, be able to ask the right questions, right? Not walking in the door and you had that thing due today, why didn't you, how did the English assignment go today, right? Is a very great question. Well, how did you know about the English assignment? Oh yeah, I had that due. So as you are able to get inside Schoology and see more detail than you probably had before, let's frame this through an opportunity for conversations, not confrontations with your child, okay? Because you are going to have more access. And we don't want Schoology to be a place of conflict ever, between teachers, between parents, between students. We want this to be a place of conversation, where you know it's there, you're helping them develop their self-management skills, you're helping plan ahead because you know that they have many things coming next week, and you have a busy weekend ahead, and we have this event and that event, and when are you going to get that done? That's the kind of tool we see this being really useful for, okay? So, I will do my best as a parent also to ask the proper question.
So, my role is to talk about navigating Schoology with you as well, and Anthony.
Yep.
And just so you know too, I'm a mom of a middle schooler and a high schooler as well. So I'm seeing from both sides how this works. And I was quite excited about sort of the view and the access that I now have as a parent. And we'll also talk to you about some of the great ways that you can just get better notifications, and those have been very handy as well. I also have a few fake students as well who I included in my list, so you've probably seen them in some of the documentation on my fake kids.
Okay, so when you get hands-on with this, in just a moment, what's it going to look like? We've got the dashboard view on the left-hand side here, and then the mobile view on the right-hand side. So if you're using your laptop, once you log in, you should be able to drop down from your family account and select any of your children.
And we'll do all the hands-on stuff in just a moment. We're just going to walk you through right now and just show you, and then we'll work through the hands-on after that. Okay, so don't want anyone to worry just yet that you have to be clicking.
If you're using the mobile app, there are a couple more steps here. You need to hit the more options, or the options icon, navigate to my children, go to more, and then find this little rightwards pointing arrow to switch to a different child.
Yeah.
And then if we jump forwards one slide, once you're in, you'll have this dashboard view. For the desktop, this lists all of the courses that your child is enrolled in. And on the right-hand side, there's that upcoming list of assignments that I mentioned. This student is doing quite well because nothing has been populated at the top as overdue work. So, well done.
And just understand that you are viewing as your child. So when you enter in there, you'll see the notification at the top. So you have the same view that your child does, except some of those privacy blocks that we talked about that you can't see. So some people were going in before. We had some parents who were concerned that they went in and they couldn't see anything, and that's because they were in their account. But when you switch and select your child, like we did back here, if you're in your family ROI, you don't see anything because you're not in any classes or any groups. But once you switch to your child, then you see that you are viewing as. And so then you are viewing the content as your child. Okay?
And then for the narrower mobile screen, you'll find the upcoming assignments below the course list. Okay, so just scroll down a little, you'll see those upcoming assignments. If you navigate into a course, you should see something like this. Each course is, of course, unique. You will see the assignments that have been posted. You'll see the discussions that might be happening. Again, you can't see into those discussions. You can't see what other students are discussing. And you'll see the unit folders. Now, right at the bottom, there is the really useful course information folder that contains all key course information for that course.
We're calling that the orange folder.
The orange
so
folder.
The teacher may say to you, check out the orange folder. I've got information about the curriculum, our standards, or resources that we might use over and over and over again.
For the mobile phone, it looks very similar, and I found on my phone that does mean I have to scroll to the right to see the upcoming list.
Looks great on your iPad though.
Okay.
And just keep in mind too that our faculty are still building their courses, and so they're still getting their heads around organization and structure. So if you have questions, feel free to email the teacher, but recognize too that they are still growing and learning as well at this point as well. Now notifications are really helpful, and one of the things we'll do today is we'll show you how you can sign up for your email notifications. There are 2 different notifications that you can sign up for. The first one is one that gives you an overall view of what's due, what's coming up, so it gives you the long-term look at all the things that are coming up, as well as if there's any posts that the teacher has posted for the class, those will appear down here as well. So my poor student Faith has a lot of stuff coming up, but that's okay. And the nice thing is too, for most of these, I can actually click on the blue link and it'll take me to the description of what that is. Now again, as we said with Google Assignments, that doesn't work quite the same way, but you will at least know that it's coming up, and you can ask your child, have a conversation. Oh, what's this about? Tell me about it, and that's really important. And I don't know if I got that in there. I'll go back just a sec. The other thing I really like about this is I can decide how often and what time I want this notification to come. So when you're on your phone the most often, or you're checking your mail the most often. So you can pick, I want this to come daily at 6 p.m. or I want this to come daily at 8 a.m. You have the power to decide that. You also have the ability to sign up for one more notification, which is if there's overdue. So you'll get a very specific email from Schoology to say, your child has an overdue assignment. And so it'll directly send that to you as well. And that's, again, optional. You don't have to sign up for any of these things. But if this is something that supports you as a parent, then please take advantage of that. So in order to do that, it's a little bit more tricky with the mobile, but you do need to go to More and your settings, and you can sign up for notifications. When you're using, did I put another picture on here? No, I didn't. When you're using your computer, it's a little bit easier. You just have to switch down to your settings again and pick, then you have the ability again in your settings. So if you open up and go to settings, you can then select that you want to sign up. And this is something, again, we'll do today. So please don't feel you need to be able to do it at this very moment. The rest of this session will be you going through and getting these things set up on what you're interested in. All right? So this is the next part of our activity. What we're going to do is we've got some handouts that we're going to give you that will guide you through with pictures, the same ones I had up here, how to get through. So our goal for you today is that you will be able to log into Schoology. And notice I'm saying Schoology. I know some people, we've got Schoology out there, but it's Schoology. Yeah.
Schoology.
Schoology. You're going to view your child's dashboard today. You're going to be, sorry, we're almost there. We're going to explore the available course materials for your child. And finally, our goal is that you will sign up, if you're interested, for summaries and notifications. Now, this QR code will give you a copy of the paper that we just handed out, but we recognize it might be easier to have the paper out while you're working on your device. But you can have that document for later if you'd like. But for now, those same instructions you're getting here are the ones that are sitting on your table right now. All right, so our goal for the next little while, you can help each other, you can support each other. We've also got, if you're not able to get on the Wi-Fi, you can use ASD Guest, and there is the Wi-Fi. We would prefer that you are using your Schoology, or pardon me, your PowerSchool login, but we recognize that right now that might be a little bit tricky to do the sign-in. So we'll do this for now, but don't forget, your PowerSchool is where you can go to get your parent login for the Wi-Fi. All right, in the future, and I'm sure your phones are probably all set, but it's when you've got a computer, it's a little bit more tricky. All right, so work with your group, We will circulate around with you, and remember, these are your goals to accomplish today. You can do it.